going through and debating that, and who knows? Like when you grow up here in Tallahassee, they just develop allegiances, and it is what it is. I appreciate everybody here. We've obviously done a lot of great stuff. I know a lot of people have put a lot of effort into it, and for people that are on the Board of Governors and who serve on the Board of Trustees, you guys all have other pursuits in life. This is not anything you're paid for. You put a lot of time into it, and I appreciate that, and I think the people of Florida appreciate that. And it's not easy, and you do, and I've pointed people through the years, and sometimes like the chair of a particular board, like, there's time commitment, and I'm good with it, and then you do it, and you're like, man, it's a lot, but I think if people find it rewarding, and I think you can really, really make a difference. And so thank you for doing that. But I also just recognize that, you can only do so much sitting in these positions. We announced an initiative to apply some of the things that are being done at the federal level with respect to DOGE, particularly using technology, IT, artificial intelligence, to do a deep scan of our operations at the state of Florida level. We already do things in our agencies. We have the lowest number of state employees per capita in the country. We have the lowest debt per capita in the country. We've done a lot of good stuff. We're in a great spot, but we're never satisfied. So we're doing that, and I think we're going to find a lot of successes. I think we're going to find room for improvement, but we want to be able to do that in the universities as well, and I know a lot of universities are welcoming this. And I think the reason is just, these are big institutions. There's a lot that goes on. There's certain state policies that have been implemented, such as the abolition of DEI, which I know on a superficial level the universities went and applied with. But as we've seen, you kind of burrow in and rename, do what you want. And there is some sense in some quarters that whatever the law of the state of Florida is not obligatory on them, and they can kind of do their own little fiefdom. That's not going to fly here. And so we want to look to see, want to make sure that our policies are being upheld. We obviously want to look to see how the operations are being run. I don't know the answer to this question, so I'm not accusing our state universities of this, but I think if you look nationwide over the past 3 decades or so, seen a massive increase in universities in administrative staff, huge increase, and it almost parallels the explosion of student loan money that's gone out. And so we've asked, look, how is Florida doing in that respect? How are we doing in terms of the bureaucracies and the administrative? Are we a well-oiled machine? Is there room for improvement? So that's why we wanted to do it, make sure that we're focusing and implementing policies that are spoken by the people of the state of Florida through their elected officials, in most instances signed by me as governor, but then also how can we do this even better? Where's the room for improvement in terms of the operations and the bloat? And there's a lot of things that are happening that I think are really, really good. We were the first state in the country to do the post-tenure review. All the other governors ask me about this anytime. How'd you guys do that? How's it working out? The number of talented people we've been able to bring in by the money that we've provided and the authority that the trustees and the presidents of these universities have to recruit good people. I mean, I don't think we've ever seen what we've seen just in the last couple years, and I know we're just scratching the surface. You're going to see a lot more, so that's really exciting, and that's the way it should be. I'm also proud of the way the universities here have upheld the standards of conduct for the students. Columbia University, we saw that it was just mayhem there. You had Jewish students being basically attacked, threatened. They'd block them from going in there. And the university leadership just basically shrugged their shoulders. And it's like, yeah, the inmates get to run the asylum. It's not the way it works here in the state of Florida. And I know we've seen action that's been taken. People can believe and say things. That's different than your behavior and your conduct. And you need to hold students accountable for their conduct, and they must behave appropriately. And what I've found is if they know that they will get kicked out or they know you won't give them then all of a sudden you see much better behavior. And I think that's what we've seen. You haven't seen the problems at our universities that you've seen in some of these other places. And that's really caused, I think, a lot of people to look even more favorably at Florida universities. I can tell you, when I became governor, you go up to like the Northeast, they would never, ever have said no, I won't do Columbia with my kids or grandkids. I'll send them down to Florida. They just would not have said that. Part of it was unfair. I think they looked down on Florida education. They didn't really recognize the success that had already happened prior to me arriving on the scene. But now, I'll have people come up from around different parts of the country say, I don't know that I'd send my kid or my grandkid or advise my grandkid to go to Columbia or Brown or some of these places. We can send them down to Florida. And especially once you become a resident, you have the lowest tuition anywhere in the United States. And so I think that is a testament to us keeping our eye on the ball, not letting these institutions devolve like they have, unfortunately, in other parts of the country, maintaining rigor and excellence and having really, really good programs. And people are noticing that, and you're going to see more and more. And there's a larger drift, I think it's been reported in like the Wall Street Journal stuff about people from different parts of the country gravitating to the Sun Belt generally, not just Florida, but I think we've really led the charge. And so for what you guys have done, I appreciate that. I'm very excited that you guys are looking at the curriculum, the course offerings. We can't be all things to all people. I mean, some of these more, the ideological studies and all that, first of all, that's not my cup of tea, but that's not what the people of Florida want their tax dollars to do. People want that. They can go to Cal Berkeley. They can go a bunch of different places. For us, we really want to focus on what the classical mission of a university should be. We've got some great programs across different parts of the state on things that are really, really meaningful, where you're really challenging students and you're making them better. So I would just say keep up with that. Let's make sure that that people read these course catalogs and they're not wincing as to why the heck that would be in there with Florida tax dollars. So we've really made a lot of progress. I know you guys are still working to do more, but please, continue on that mission, because the contrast between universities that are focusing on merit and excellence and the core mission of the universities versus those that have really drifted and have been focusing more on things like ideology and activism, that difference is growing starker and starker, and we stand to benefit as a result of that. So I know that there's different discussion. We're in the legislative session. I know some of you, are probably meeting with the legislators about different budget items and this and that. Since I've been governor, honestly, I've been happy to support. Don't get me wrong, but they actually showed me how much the university's budgets have grown on the since I was like, did we really increase that much? So I'm happy to support. We know it's important, especially being able to deliver a high-quality education at as low a cost as can be done anywhere in the United States. You do not, if you're a good student, obviously, and you score well enough, you get your tuition either free or mostly free through Bright Futures. But even if you don't do that, you can work a summer job part-time, and really, you do not need to go into debt as a Florida resident going to a Florida university at all if you don't want to. That's a huge, huge positive thing to have for a state, especially as we've seen over the last many decades. So many of these students just have massive debt around their neck, 100,000, 120,000, and unfortunately, a lot of times they have degrees that are not exactly lighting the world on fire. So we've gone in the opposite direction. I know we have different things too, like some grandparents can qualify, and not everyone knows that, but that's something that I think is neat. I know we're working at maybe trying to expand that, but just continuing to attract really, really good talent. So I know there's budget items that are going to be discussed. I know there's other types of legislation that people are talking here or there. Just know we've got a very good formula here in Florida. And it's my intent as governor over the next 2 years to continue along that trajectory, to build off that success, but we're not going to let anybody derail us from where we're going and what we've been able to accomplish. And that's in part to a lot of the people in this room and people who have served in various capacities throughout our universities. And so we're going to stay the course. We're going to keep working really hard. And, our door is always open. I know we've worked very well, I think, with most of you over my tenure as governor. We've got 4 of the top 50 public universities in the United States, and I know we have others that are probably on a trajectory to get there at some point in the near future, and that's something that we can all be proud of. We can also be proud of that we're really the state that so many people look to for opportunity and leadership. So thank you. Thank you for what you're doing, and keep up the great work. See you guys later. Thanks.